Hello everybody, this is Steve Q talking to you from the 28th floor windows of the world at the legendary Park Lane Hotel on Hilton Hotel in London. And I'm delighted to be joined by my old pal, Peter Sage.
Steve, good to see you, buddy.
Hi Peter, it's great to see you as
Definitely.
well. In flesh instead of on the video all
Zoom,
the time.
yes.
On Zoom.
The world has turned to Zoom zombies, but you can't beat people in person.
I know. So tell us why you're in London first. You've been speaking at a rather important personal development event, haven't you?
Yes, actually a former EMF student, Paul Mort, who's gone on to just create an amazing level of momentum and mission to help people all over the UK with transforming mental health problems. And he invited me as his mentor to come down and speak at a big event he was doing at Chelsea Football Club at Stamford Bridge.
Wow.
And that happened last couple of days, and it's been amazing to see what EMF has allowed him to do to be able to go out and give his gift to the world and see those ripples go out. And to have the honor of going to speak at that event was something I was very proud of.
Did you meet any Chelsea football players while you were there?
I didn't know.
No.
We were in the Harris Suite, and a few hundred people, but a great event all around, regardless.
Amazing. No doubt they all had Sage Rage, eh? So what I really wanted to discuss on this short video is why EMF, Elite Mentorship Forum, is the #1 transformational program in the world, personal development.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I love that as an accolade, but you hear it pretty much everywhere. Everyone is into marketing terms, #1 this, best that. It's desensitized to it. And part of my mission, which is stated publicly, it's on my website, that gets me up early and sort of keeps me up late and drives me, is reinventing the personal development industry or the personal growth industry into the personal growth and results industry.
Yeah.
Because people are drowning in information and starving for transformation.
Yeah.
And the reason that my students call this the #1 transformational program in the world is because it actually works. And I don't want to say that as if it's a surprise, but the actual transformation that happens is lasting, it is permanent, it is deeper than just the average surface program that's out there. And the name was very much chosen strategically. Elite. This is not a common program. This is not where this is not the mediocrity mentorship forum, right?
Yeah.
This is the highest level of what I've learned in 30 years of understanding what makes us tick. This is not kindergarten. This is PhD level. You don't need a PhD in order to understand. I'll break it down. Mentorship. There's a very big difference between a coach, a consultant, and a mentor. A coach is somebody who's basically trained to ask questions, to motivate you. If you look at a consultant is someone who a company pays to come in to solve a problem quickly. A mentor is different. A mentor is somebody that has walked the path that you've walked, that is committed to wanting to help you walk along that path side by side and give you the right feedback, the right tools, the right insights to stop you making the mistakes that they've made, give you the shortcuts, but allow you your own growth and journey.
Sure.
And then obviously forum, we don't do this one-on-one because there's so much more power in community. Now, I talk about the power of a peer group, and when you go through a transformational program with other people that are on their journeys, but you're all having your own level of insight, breakthrough, ahas, transformation, and growth, that forms a special bond, which lasts way longer than any program. So it's a forum of people that are committed to living their best life, and that power makes 1 + 1 + 1 = 111.
Brilliant. So it's no secret that I've onboarded quite a lot of people into Peter's programs, and one thing I really want to ask for anybody watching here considering joining, signing up, whatever, is spoke to a guy last year. He did join up with us in Ultimate Self-Mastery as it happened, but what he said to me was really interesting. He said, Steve, I don't know if I need another program. I said, oh really, why is that? I won't say who it was, but he told me that he'd signed up some months before, paid $3,000 for a transformational program. It was a business program with somebody who's quite well known. And he said, quote unquote, I've been ripped off for $3,000 by so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I said, really? Was it no good? Because I thought that guy sort of knows what he's talking about. And he said, he went quiet a moment, very contritely, he said, tell you the truth, Steve, not even started it. $3,000, and he'd not even taken the wrapper off.
Yeah, you see that a lot because people think that by paying out money they're going to get a result. It's a quick fix pill when they mistake, as most of my USM students know, knowledge mastery for self mastery. Yeah, you can go and have access to all the information in the world right now. It's called Google, and if that was all it took, you'd be wealthy, happy, successful, fulfilled. But we know that isn't the case. So when I designed the Elite Mentorship Forum, the big part of it was participation, because the average person, as you say, lasts a certain amount of time before the old patterns kick in, the limitations kick in, the distractions kick in, the excuses kick in, and then they blame externally rather than look at what's actually driving that underneath. To get rid of that, you can go and apply yourself at any program and get results. But most people aren't willing to do that, or they don't know how.
You know what was really interesting to me is unconsciously the guy had found a way to blame the content provider for his failing to show up to even watch it. What would you call that?
Well,
apart from crazy.
Predictable. In all fairness, for most people, because the industry has seduced people into thinking that if they take a course without doing as much work, they'll get the result, and that's not true. You can cherry pick testimonials, show up the people that would have got it no matter what the course was, and say, oh, that's typical. It isn't. EMF's divided into 3 phases, but the first phase is what we call foundation and reinvention. That's where we spend a lot of time uncovering the limiting beliefs, pulling them out by the roots, going into areas where you can have emotional mastery, not emotional justification, emotional self-trickery, which is where most people unfortunately live. How do you look in the mirror and find out what is it that's actually stopping me, and how do we address that? Because without that foundation, you can't move forward. You see professional footballers spend a lot of time warming up before a game so they don't pull a hamstring. We were at the theatre last night, and I know every actor that was on that stage didn't rock up at the theatre and hit the stage. They spent 30, 45 minutes doing vocal exercises and warm-ups before they can then get the result. EMF, the first phase, first 2 months, we are doing our warm-up, which prevents you from pulling a hamstring or straining your vocal cords when it comes to performance.
Got ya. And so EMF 22 starts on the 4th of April.
Yes, we've got about a 2-3 week ramp up from the 4th of April till we really kick the gears and shut the doors.
Okay. So what is the final deadline for EMF 22? And the reason I'm mentioning this for anybody watching is Elite Mentorship Forum 22 is the last one that Peter's going to be personally facilitating. Is that right? That's
correct, yes. I'm walking a different path. I've done this for a lot of years now, transformed thousands of lives. And as you know, I'm passionate about allowing other people to experience what I've experienced in helping other people transform. So I'm now facilitating my trainers to be able to do that and handing over the baton after EMF 22 to exceptionally competent, credible people. But there's a bit of nostalgia here because it is the last one that I'm doing.
I would imagine.
And to answer your question, if April 4th is the kind of the doors open, we kick off day, you've got 2 weeks from that point before we don't let anyone play catch up. As soon as module 1 is complete, nobody's allowed to. The train's moving too far out of the station for somebody to then jump on. But until then,
I understand.
You can play a little bit of catch up and jump on without any issues.
And one of the key things, obviously the information in the modules, the way you present it, the Q&A every couple of weeks with you is very powerful and insightful for people. But talk a bit more about the power of the peer group, and especially when you've graduated EMF, membership of this global peer group of high conscious individuals who've all gone through the same process.
Through my journey of 30 years in this industry, again, I asked myself the same question: why have you got, somewhat, successful appearing people, normal people that you would think have got their act together, self-sabotage consistently. Even when they know what to do, they're still not doing what they know. Like the guy who paid his $3K. And one thing that is so ubiquitous, but most people don't appreciate the power of, is environment. Environment beats will overtime every time. In
Yeah.
other words, I can teach you how to be warm, I can teach you how to make warm soup, wear warm clothes, run on the spot. But if you go home and choose to live in the freezer, at some point it's going to win.
Yeah.
Most people, if they go abroad and they live abroad in a same language but a different country, let's say you go from the UK to Australia,
Yeah.
and you spend a year or two there and come back, your friends are going to say, oh, you picked up an accent.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't go to accent school.
Happened to me.
Yeah, but you didn't go to accent school.
My friends got rid of it for me very quickly in about a week.
Well, again, environment as well. But my point being, Steve, is this. Your environment affected
Yeah.
you unconsciously to the point where every single word coming out of your mouth was affected. Okay? What's most people's financial accent? What's most people's behavioral accent?
Lack limitation.
Not because
Can't afford it.
they are lack or limitation, but because they surround themselves in an environment where other people are expressing lack and limitation. So if you think being able to buy this packet of warm soup is going to solve your temperature problems of your environment, it isn't. So what do? You move to a warmer environment. And that's why I recognize that the transformation is one aspect, powerful aspect. You've got to have the chops to go through this program to get the benefits. I've built a world-class gym. I built a world-class training program. We've got world-class equipment. You still got to lift the weights. Right? So there's work involved here, but it's worth it. However, at the end of that, you go back to living in a financial scarcity environment where all your friends are talking about lack and limitation. It's going to win over time. You go to the gym and build up, but then go to live in McDonald's.
It's what you call that, you referred to it before, law of proximity, right?
Yeah, law of conformity, law of proximity.
Yeah.
So creating a peer group of people, just imagine, you are going through 6 months of the highest level personal growth transformation program as evidenced by the students and the results that you could find in the market right now. And after that, you then use that as a springboard to go into an alumni, a peer group of thousands of people that have walked that path as well, that are ready to welcome you in.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about what crap's on the news, they become a midwife to your dreams.
Yeah.
They become your avid supporter. You become comrades in arms. If you want to go on holiday, we're about to go on a wine cruise. Yeah, social event. EMF only. Right? Why? Because they're the people I want to hang out with. You want to start a business? I want to start a business with an EMF grad. Why?
Sure.
Because they're authentic.
You're on the same page.
Their level of consciousness is there. So I'm passionate, as you can tell, I'm passionate about the community as much as the program.
I recount to people, I can't remember what it was, this is about maybe 15 years ago, and something had happened. I saw it on the internet and I was speaking to you and I said, what do you think of so-and-so? And you said, I haven't got the foggiest idea what you're talking about. And I said, don't you know what's going on in the world? Or words to that effect. And you said to me, I know what's going on in my world. Always remember you saying that.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what's going on in my world.
You're the star of your own movie, and there's a lot of people, multi-billion-dollar industries, and other organizations that have their best interests over your best interests at heart, with a lot of budget and technology to back it up with.
Yeah.
In other words, if you are not consciously steering your car, there's somebody programming your sat-nav. But when you're in charge of your own vehicle, your own destiny, your own movie, and your hands are firmly on your own wheel, you don't care what's happening 3 streets over if somebody's just bumped the curb, if someone's ran out of petrol. That's not your deal. Your job is to make sure that you can be the best driver on your road in your car as possible.
Yeah. Don't you find that people nowadays, though, they can fall into the trap of being obsessed with just daily trivia? They're tied to it.
Again, programming. Right? If you, what I say to people is that if you are not starring in your own movie consciously, and you have a way to write your own script, to enjoy starring in your movie no matter what's happening, you are going to essentially become an unpaid film extra in some big budget disaster movie that somebody wants you to be part of. Yeah, not happening.
Yeah.
Certainly not for EMF.
So you're designing yourself out of the day-to-day, and end of the year, you talked about walking the path. What about rowing the Atlantic? Tell us a bit about that. I always remember, by the way, this guy does some immensely crazy things, and I was about 17 miles through the London Marathon where you're like hitting the wall. Well, I was hitting the wall. And two things inspired me. There was a guy who was severely disabled, and he could see the state I was in. He was in some contraption getting round. It's like, come on, mate. And then I thought of you running the Marathon des Sables in the desert. Yeah, and I thought, this is a walk in the park, Steve, compared to what Pete's doing.
Contrast frames are powerful, and just put that to EMF. Some people are saying, oh, well, can I afford to be part of EMF? I'm saying, can you afford not to be? When it comes to, you want to invest 6 months becoming a reinvented, permanently transformed, upgraded version of yourself with an amazing lifetime group of friends and peers that'll prevent you from backsliding. And if you don't do that, what's the next 10 years, by contrast, worth to you? In terms of who you're going to be in 10 years if you don't do that. Probably the same person.
Same, stuck.
Right, so again, you don't contrast it to what you're doing now, contrast it to what you'd be doing in 10 years if you didn't. Now, the same with the extreme sports. When I ran the Marathon des Sables, which is marathon a day, back-to-back for 7 days across the Sahara, including day 4 is a double marathon, 52 miles.
1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, just for good measure, yeah?
As you do.
Yeah.
And for me, the contrast frame was powerful. If the government put up interest rates, I just ran across the desert, I can handle that. If you're get downsized by your company, if the bank calls in a loan, if whatever, something happens, it's like, hang on, if I can go handle that, what else am I capable of? And I teach self-mastery over knowledge mastery all day long. So many people are investing tens of thousands of dollars in trying to learn more so that they can become more to do more, and it doesn't work. We know that. If you teach self-mastery, you've got to sometimes remind yourself you qualified to teach. Give yourself a graduation event, or the universe will probably do it for you.
I'm thinking of someone I used to know. Talk about self-trickery. These guys were quite successful in business, and this guy, he was called Peter actually, very lively round a pound note, let's say, but he and his girlfriend, they paid 50 quid a month to the gym, but they went to the pub every night, and I asked them why they did it. They never went to the gym, but they paid their 50 quid a month each membership. And as I say, he was lively round a pound note. And he said, it's our health tax. That's just like the guy with 3 grand not doing the course.
Here's my take on that, Steve. All right, we pay health insurance because we hope nothing goes wrong. We pay car insurance because we hope nothing goes wrong. We pay house insurance because we hope nothing goes wrong. It's a fear-based mentality of avoidance. You invest in EMF, that is your proactive insurance that allows you to become the person that can pay for virtually any other insurance. Right? It's not a
Good
tax.
perspective.
That level of investment is a whole different thing. We're so programmed to avoid through fear, we're not even aware of it when we go to pay out. We just think it's normal. No one's investing in how do I rise above that to train myself into coming from a place of empowerment, not fear. And when you see people just accepting, health tax. The mind will always justify. Right? And it's usually justified through what you're programmed to. And if you're programmed through fear, you're going to justify yourself out of all of the opportunities that are presenting themselves for you to grow.
No, I get it totally. So, in finishing, tell us about this Atlantic Row. November, isn't it?
Actually, it's next year.
Next year?
So 2024.
Yeah.
And it's one of the, I guess, the toughest race in the world. Again, a marathon, as you know, depending on your fitness levels, anywhere maybe 3.5 hour kind of pro-ish time to 5.5 hour average person trying to raise money for charity. Ironman, big step up, 14 hours. You do an ultra like the Marathon des Sables, Eco Challenge, something like that. Probably anywhere from a week to 10 days. Toughest televised sporting event most often each year is the Tour de France. 3 years grueling through the Pyrenees. This is in a little boat where there's 2 of us. There's 40 boats in the race, and I'm rowing for 2 hours because that's about the limit before the lactic acid builds up too much to be able to go out for the next 2 hours. So I row for 2 hours and then I rest or sleep. or do boat maintenance, or what have you. Let's say boat maintenance. It's about 20 foot long. This boat, the cabin I can't even lie down flat in. I've got to bend my legs. And then the other person rows while you're downtime, and then you get back on. So you row 2 hours, off 2 hours. That's 24/7. So you're polyphasing sleep, and that's for about 2 months.
What does that word mean, polyphasing?
It means on and off.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So when you are doing that for 2 months in the most isolated place in the world, pretty much middle of the Atlantic. I mean, at least in the middle of the Pacific, you can go to Hawaii, right?
Right, yeah,
You've got
yeah.
the most isolated place on Earth, and you're never going to see another soul. You're unsupported. You've got sat radio. You've got all of the issues that go with that. But imagine this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's pitch black. The swells have been at 6 feet, 2 meter swells, right? So you're seasick. You can't sleep. You're not slept for your 2 hours rest. Your hands are raw with salt spray.
I can see you looking forward to this.
You feel sick. You're gonna go out and row another 2 hours in the cold over the waves, and your mind at that point is going to come up with every single excuse it can fabricate, put together, create to tell you why you can't do it.
To jump overboard.
That is where self-mastery becomes real, not theory.
Yeah.
It's easy. You fall over, scrape your knee, you get up, you learn, you move forward. But there's very few times in life where you put yourself in a situation, voluntarily at least, where you can practice what it is that you've been learning. And I say to people, theory doesn't cover the price of admission to the higher levels of greatness. So if I'm here and people are looking at me in order to help them walk a path of their own greatness, I better make sure I can still do it myself.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Good luck with that.
It'll be fun.
Cheers.
Hey, Steve,
Great.
good to see you, brother.